Well, hello there, Catherine Langman here, back with another episode of the Productpreneur Success podcast. And I'm really excited about today's episode as I'm going to be welcoming my friend and fellow entrepreneur, Emma Lovell, who is the founder and inventor of the brand CoziGo. I think Emma's story will probably feel quite familiar to many of you as she invented a completely new and innovative product that kind of fulfilled a need that she was experiencing herself in her own life. Now, I'm not going to give that away. I'm never going to do justice to her story compared to hearing it in her own words. But I know that experience of really, being faced with a frustrating experience and thinking, surely there is a product on the market that would help with this, and there isn't, and then ultimately being inspired to create your own business and brand and product is familiar to many of you as it is to me. And at the end of the day, though, of course, launching a completely new product to market is no mean feat. There really isn't a rule book or a playbook that tells you exactly how to do it, as if there was only one way to do it. It's just not like that. And if you have ever struggled with things along the lines like, how do you push through when every step of the way feels like things are just not working, or you feel like you're hitting a brick wall every which way you turn? How do you keep pushing through and keep going when you're experiencing difficulties along the way? And Emma's business was also severely impacted by COVID. When COVID first hit, she pretty much lost her market overnight. But she has pulled through and relaunched and is now growing again at a rapid rate. Having the tenacity and the energy and the confidence to keep going through all of this is a truly remarkable story that I really can't wait to share with you, and I think you're going to love it. So without further ado, let's welcome Emma to the show. So welcome to the show, Emma. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Kath. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's been a while trying to bring this one together, so we're finally coordinated ourselves.
We're finally in the same room for sure.
So good. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about your career as an entrepreneur and talk a bit about your business CoziGo, of course. And I guess just to kick us off, I'd love to invite you to tell our listeners and viewers, what is CoziGo? Give us the elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch, the quick one. The short answer, the long answer. Well, CoziGo, for the listeners, is a pop-up sleep and sun cover that I developed to fit all airline bassinets, firstly. And then also it fits all prams, strollers, Moses baskets and capsules. And the idea of the product is to reduce distraction, to help babies sleep faster and stay asleep for longer. And also while they're out and about, it's got a very high sun protection factor. So it can also be opened up and still used as a sun cover on your strollers. So yeah, we're about improving the parenting journey, because we know the more sleep kids get, then
the more sleep parents
the better,
get too.
and the better the day goes, less tantrums and just happier all round.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So let's dive into this story of inspiration, because it's a pretty good one.
It is. Oh, it's a good and a bad one. So my mama was diagnosed with lung cancer when Amy, my eldest, was just 5 months old. So I made the difficult decision to pack up and actually go to England to be her primary carer. And but I had to leave my husband behind because he couldn't leave the business. So he was sort of not down. They said 6 to 9 months for my mum, and he was like, I can't really miss, the second 6 to 9 months of my baby's life. So I every time I could, in the 9 months of my mum's illness, I flew back and forth to from London to Sydney 4 times, and it was hell on earth. Yeah, it was just awful. Amy was such a party animal. She was 5.5 months when she was diagnosed. 5.5 months when we first went to visit mum, and I got off the plane. I went, I'm not doing that again in a hurry. And during that visit, she got diagnosed. So I went home and then did it again really quickly, and then 4 more times that year
with no CoziGo.
With no CoziGo at all. But after the first disaster, I did actually take a a single bed sheet with me and a huge roll of masking tape, and I would jimmy up these like make do tent things. But I was constantly worried about her suffocating, but also I was the envy of the people sort of next to me
on the other side.
Oh, damn it, I wish we'd thought about it. So I'd be doling out masking tape to other parents, and they'd be using the airline blankets, and we'd all be like, shit, I hope we're not like suffocating the kids.
No.
You know? So that's what made me think there was a market for this. And I searched and searched and searched, there's got to be something that makes this easier. And there wasn't. And it was only when Mum passed away that I started thinking that I would quite like to fill that gap and you know, make it easier for other parents to travel. In my mind at the time, I was like, I don't want any mum to go through what I went through, because I was in a very bad place. But then at the same time, I'm like, hang on, people travel with kids for good reasons too. So
that's true.
Holidays and travel and whatnot. But the other bugbear for me was in England, like I was using baby wraps and blankets and coats and wherever I had to hand to go over the stroller. And even though I had those clips and stuff, anything I used would get rolled up in the wheels, or the wind would blow it off.
I remember this.
Yeah, totally. And it didn't feel like it was going to. It didn't feel like, you know, they say breathable fabric, but there's a difference between air permeable and breathable. So the airflow moving through. I always used to sort of like lift it and get this hot breath of, you know, hotness like burst out of the stroller.
And the rosy cheek baby underneath.
And to an extent, you'd just be like, I don't care. At least she's sleeping. As long as she's still breathing. And you kind of shove that issue to one side. So when we got about developing it, and I'm by no means a developer, I'm a high school teacher originally, was my original career. But when we started looking, you know, we were like, well, can we make it flexible enough to go on to different items?
So you did that right from the start in the product development?
Yes, right from the start. That was my husband. He's like, you got to make it do more than one thing. Everyone loves the multifunctional thing. And I got him we looked up all the sizes of the airline bassinets. He's a carpenter, well, he's a builder, but his trade was carpentry. And he made me this box that kind of, you know, was the largest size of the bassinets we could find. And obviously we had strollers, and literally we made the first prototype with plumbing tube from Bunnings. And I'm no sewer, so I got some black fabric and I used double-sided sticky tape to put
I love it. Yeah.
I did an interview once with IP Australia, and I sent the pictures of my first prototypes, and she wrote back to me and said, oh my God, you're such a sport for sending them through. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had to be ashamed of them. There were no CAD drawings or anything. I just photographed them and went, can anyone make anything like this? So, so amusing.
So you started with that homemade prototype, and then what did you do next? Did you start looking for?
So I went to an Australian country. I went to an Australian company who takes. It was a full turnkey solution where they take your idea off the page, make the CAD drawings, the prototypes, and, you know, go off, find manufacturers and come back at the end. When my mum died, I got left $50,000 in the will, and that's what I decided I would launch the business with. And I think their quote for that was 80 grand. Oof. And somewhere around that. I mean, hindsight, I should have taken the deal and ran, because what then ensued was me trying to do a lot of it myself. And there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of tears, a lot of time, and a lot of failings and disasters along the way. And I often think, my God, like, you know, I could have started probably 2 years earlier. I was pretty broken doing all this, mind you. Like,
because this is after your mother's passed away.
Yeah, I have to say, in all honesty, and I was on antidepressants, and like had Amy, had a miscarriage, like there was a lot going on. So I would pick up the project and then I go and put it back on the shelf, and my husband would tap me and go, what have you thought about this anymore? Get lost, it's a stupid idea, it's a stupid idea. And he just quietly put it back in front of me.
He's a beautiful man.
Well, he knew that would help my mental health as well, just to have something else to concentrate on. So it did, you know, there was no big entrepreneur, like waiting to burst out inside me going, come on, I'm going to get this business off the ground. It was a very slow burn. And I sort of rejected that quote, couldn't really find anything in Australia, and started sending my stupid photos of prototypes back and forward to China, and found an agent that works in China, and slowly got prototypes back, and no, that's crap, that's not quite what I mean, no, that doesn't work, oh no, that's not what I meant, and back and forth, and we had loads of prototypes knocking around the house, and each one would take weeks just to post back and forth.
It'd probably be worse if you're doing that now, wouldn't it?
Oh my god, and then eventually we got one that we went, okay, we think this is going to work. And so after a few different tweaks and a leap of faith, I said, you know what, let's make 1,000 of them, and just, I had a few different prototypes that were almost there by the end of it. And I used those 4 items, those 4 users, to get myself some mums that were traveling long haul and head out and use them. That also was a bit of a risk because we didn't have airline approval or anything like that, but honestly I didn't even think about that. Like I just went, take it on the plane,
you're being scrappy,
put it over, see what you think. And we got about I had 4 prototypes, and they were all used probably twice, so I probably got about 8 mums. Small market, small segment, but still, some really solid feedback before we kind of did a few extra tweaks and make 1,000 of them. And I was super excited, but those 1,000 units arrived. Even small things that in boxes way too big, and just things we've learned over the years, but those arrived, and they all had to go into landfill because they were all wrong. And where we went wrong was the handmade prototype that they make in a little room. The prototype girl or guy or whoever it is very different to the people that then go on to do mass production.
This happened to me too.
Oh, you too? Oh my God. Do you know what? The amount of people I speak to, it kind of seems to happen to most of us. And
I think it does.
I really feel like my next project should be write a book of here's what not to do. Here's everything I've done that I could try and help you not to do, because I feel like I made every mistake in the book with this project. But I'm still here to tell the tale.
I'm still here.
I mean, I cried, and I remember having this stuff drive back up the road. Like it came, first of all, I had no idea what 1,000 units would look like, and where are we going to put them all? We were living in an apartment with this garage, and I said to Bill, move your car, like you're going to have to park on the street. And at the time we lived in Manly, there was never any street parking, and we were like, holy crap, and they kept coming out. We were so excited, and then we were opening them up. I'm like, we can't sell them. And they also the original prototype had magnets in them, which we thought would be amazing, not to have the Velcro, because every tiny little noise wakes your baby. So
that's right.
Let's get rid of the Velcro and do magnets. And the magnets kept falling out, and I would wake up in absolute streams of sweat thinking I was going to lead to the death of a child and stuff. And I was like, you've got to burn these things, bury them. Like, I'm not selling them. So off they went back up the hill that cost me $1,000 to chuck away. I remember going, what's another $1,000? Just horrendous. But and I'm kind of wary to say, because I know it will lead on to, it's from another question, but I've just secured a Shark Tank deal and told on national television, said I'm not selling yet, but I've got 1,000 units coming off the boat. Actually, it was that day, because when on my way to the studio at Shark Tank, I had to go via the delivery dock and pull them off, like grab a box of them. They gave me a box, drive to the studio. And that was when I opened the box, and I was like, oh, that's not quite right. But it didn't actually think of me that all 1,000 of them wouldn't be quite right. But I just and I actually picked another one up, and I went, oh, that is, because obviously not all of them were wrong. Oh, that's all right. And we ran into the studio with this prototype, and told the Shark Tank team that we've got 1,000 units on the dock as we speak, and we're retail ready to go. And after cutting a deal, I had to ring them and go, about that stock.
Yes.
I bet we're now months away. Like,
I bet they've been through it all before too, though, right?
I didn't tell them until I went, this is what's happened and this is what I'm going to do. And it was amazing. So I went, you know what, it's not what goes wrong, it's how you fix it. Because everyone in business, as you just said, we all make mistakes and things go wrong in and out of our control, and it's just about what your next steps are. So I'll come back to that. But we had this 1,000 stock, and I said to my husband at the time, I'm packing it in. This is your fault, Phil. You made me do it. You made me do this. I should have just been basking in depression. And he's like, oh no, keep at it. So off we went again. And luckily, my mistake there was to rely on my agent to do the QC, and the QC consisted of opening up the box and checking they were there and closing up the box, and they didn't actually quality control the products themselves, and they were pretty mortified as well. And we're actually still working together. What happened was,
I was going to ask you if you stuck with them all.
We found a different manufacturer. We went with a different manufacturer, and we both wore half the cost. So we both came to the party, and I felt like, I guess it was my greenness to overlook that. And eventually it took a while, because we kind of did it in stock and units and stuff, but at the end of the day I thought, if we're going to carry on and keep supporting each other, that was sort of a fair way to go. So we moved manufacturers, and I've been with them ever since, for that time. So the next lot,
what year was that?
Very independently.
Yes, good.
I try not to think about what year it was. What year was that? I don't know, 6 years ago or something. I'm not good at that, because it's been such a slow burn, and it's such a bloody hard road, and sometimes often not paid anything, and so I just go blah 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 blah. It's all right. It takes this long. So it was a few years ago. You can see when I edit for Shark Tank. That's your homework for the podcast.
Okay, I shall. Let's talk about Shark Tank, though, because that was that the first season of Shark Tank?
Do you know what? I was, even though I didn't appear in episode 1, I was day 1 of filming for series 1.
Oh my goodness!
So that day that we walked in was everyone's first day on the job, and I did not know who the sharks were until the day I walked in, because they were still locking them in. So when I went onto Shark Tank, when I applied for it, I applied for a program called the Australian Entrepreneur. Isn't that friendly? Isn't that a nice, friendly title? Yes. Little did I know that was their working title, and they didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. And I thought it would be one of these almost documentary style ABC kind of things, where they just, look in depth into someone's business and, decide whether to fund it. I didn't know it would be a real TV show.
Reality television, really.
And then reality TV, exactly, which is exactly what it is. First and foremost. And we went to, eventually they said, okay, here's a few links of this TV show, Shark Tank. It's what it will be based on. And I watched the American version of Shark Tank, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm horrified. Like, that's not what I signed up for. And then they went, well, have a look at the Dragon's Den, because we'll try in England, which is the English version. We'll try and make it more mellow than the American version. And I looked at that and I was like, it's spiritual.
Oh my God.
I called Endemol Shine, the production company, and said, don't make me a patsy. Like, I do not want to go on this show if you think it, because I hadn't sold a single item, so I didn't know really whether it was a good idea, if I had just been stuck in my own head and my own needs and my own drama, and thought that other people would benefit from it. You see some people pitch their business and you're like, That's
what
a
are you
shitty idea. Like,
what planet are you on?
Yeah, totally. And I thought that could be me. So I was
Yeah.
nervous, and I was like, they might have got me as the patsy. You know, they've got 3 great ones and 1 crappy one, and they're going to put me in the mix as the crappy one. And I told them, I said, don't you go making me the patsy. My mental health is far from strong, and I'll sue you. And she said, oh my God, we're not gonna hurt you. I was like, oh God, I sound like a total head case.
Good on you for saying it up front, though, right?
Yeah, totally. We've all watched Big Brother, haven't we?
Exactly.
So we went ahead. My husband was like, just go in there, have a ball. Don't give them any more than 10% and see what you come up with, and it'll be exciting. And so we walked in on day 1 of filming, and my husband just came for moral support. He had kind of like a dirty shirt and a broken belt on, because he was just coming, just the patsy in the background. They ended up dragging him on the bloody TV, and he was like, oh no. And this is the guy that had to have hypnosis for our wedding speech. So he's not one to go in front of the camera. He was like, you're killing me. But we went in, and I pitched on my own, and on TV, well, I didn't know what to expect, but you watch the TV and it's like they're 10-minute segments, but we were in there for a good hour back and forth, getting hammered, and the questions are quite in detail. And Steve wanted to know a lot about my profit and loss and my forecasting, and I don't know. I'm such a realist. You haven't sold
anything yet, right?
I am such a realist, right? I could have gone in there and gone, these are my forecasts. This will be year 1. This will be year 2. This will be year 3. I was like, I'm not plucking figures out my backside, because at the end of the day, that's what the big wigs do. It's all just flying by the
pie in the sky stuff. Yeah,
pie in the sky. And I could have sounded much better, but I said, there's this many flights, there's this many bassinets, there's this many kids that fly, babies that fly. So I had done that homework, and if we could just get 1% of that market, and he just thought that was the most rubbish way to forecast. And he was I felt lumps, and I thought, oh my God, do not let this man let you cry. So I managed to get through it. And John McGrath was in the first series. I don't know.
Yes, I remember that.
Him.
Yeah.
And he was like, love you on board in real estate. That was one of the best pitches. I was like, oh, always fancied myself as a bit of a real estate person. I'll take the job. And he goes, I just don't know how I can help you. I just don't. He said, I want to help you. I want to support you. I don't know how I could help the business, but if we'll just see what everyone says, and if you don't get a deal, then I'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Janine Alice, the lovely Janine from Boost, she started negotiating. She wanted 50% first, and that's when I went, can I speak to my husband? And he's like, no. He's in the green room with Sarah Harris. Like, he looked, he goes, I can't talk. She's pushing him in. And the funniest memory is when we're in the shark tunnel with all these superimposed sharks that look really real, by the way.
Yes.
We were whispering. Whispering about the deal, but we were both all so mic'd up, like could have just sniffed, and so the whole world could listen to this, but we were still talking very quietly. And he's like, don't do it. And I said, I think she wants to meet you. And he's like, oh my God. So anyway, she this was after she changed her deal. I think, I forget now. I think it was it was $100,000 for 35%, and she wanted $100,000 for 50%, and we changed it to 80 for 30% in the end. And we got that on the offer. It was talking about sweat for shares and stuff, and we managed to write that out of the contract. I thought that was silly, because I was already sweating. I didn't need to be told to sweat. Product. And not a lot of deals get made on the TV, but our one actually passed due diligence and went ahead, and we worked together for quite some time. And about 18 months later, I really just wanted my business to be mine again, and I brought Janine back out, and she was a lot of fun to work with. And even now, like, our girls go to the same school. She was Melbourne based at the time, but she's Sydney now, and we have the same stomping ground. And just a couple of weeks ago, we were both standing watching our girls do their athletics at the athletics carnival, and having a natter, talking about Celebrity Apprentice and cool stuff she still gets to do. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Good.
I hope she was encouraging when you said you wanted to go out on your own again.
She was super cool person. And there was no lawyers or anything. It was just literally, here's your money back, here's your shares back, and there was no revaluing or anything like that. So
good on her.
That was really nice.
That's supportive.
Yeah.
And would you, having been through that experience, I mean, I don't even think they do Shark Tank anymore.
It's been dropped now. Been dropped now. Yeah.
Would you recommend to a startup going into something like that though? Because it's a pretty massive experience, isn't it?
So I think, so because of my experience, I had a lot of people approach me over the years asking for advice on Shark Tank, and asking for advice, A, whether to go on it, B, how to pitch, and C, whether to actually take the deal. Because a lot of people were like, well, what if I just go on TV and get the deal and don't do the deal and stuff like that?
Just for the publicity.
And my advice, yes, for the PR, my advice was always to make sure that you go in knowing that first and foremost, Shark Tank was a TV program. And that's where their care factor ends, was they were in that business for entertainment. Maybe not the sharks ultimately were, but the TV program was there for sheer entertainment. And nothing to do with your business, your sweat, your money, your shares, your future. And and if you go in knowing that and understanding that, then go in on your terms and decide whether you're going to do it as part of your life journey. Because I don't know, my kids think it's so super cool that I was on TV. And that I think is just like, how cool. And Amy, she's so cute. She's 12 now, and she's like, shall we Google my mum? And her friends are like, what? She's like, and they're like, oh. I mean, she doesn't do it now so much, but when she was younger in primary school, she's like, just Google my mum's name. And as a parent, that's like, I got a bit of kudos. So I love it. But it was a beautiful part of life's journey and adventures. And digging into my past, I've had so many different adventures throughout my career and throughout my life, and being in a different country, setting up a new life, it was definitely part of life's journey. How much it helped my business, I'm not sure, beyond the initial PR and being able to jump with a business that had not sold a single unit, then all of a sudden it's got a value because someone's bought shares in it. And I had PR and I had TV, I had all these backlinks. It's a bit of a shame for me because I ended up having to rebrand. So it used to be called Flybaby, and we moved to CoziGo because another mistake I made. Like, I did actually pay for a lawyer to do due diligence and find any other businesses that I would be encroaching on. But the US had a product called Flybaby. It was spelled really different, FLYEBABY. It was actually a airline product. It's like this seat that you could hang over the back of the seat in front of you and strap your kid in, almost like
sounds like a torture device.
A torture device for the person in front of you, I reckon, with them like dangling around.
Can you imagine
the chair? I can't imagine. I don't know how good an idea it was, but even though the spelling was different, if I wanted to enter the US market, and I threw myself open to that. And even I did actually even contact the business owner and say, it looks like you're at the end of your business journey. And they were like, no, but we'd still be litigious. So I had to make the really hard decision. I either had to decide whether to just keep the brand going and launch something different in the US, or just kill it and start again. And it was really hard because it killed so much of my SEO and backlinks, and the PR that I did receive from Shark Tank kind of didn't mean as much along the way. And we had to do loads of messaging about, Flybaby is CoziGo, and it took us years to get into the US market as well, which is the ironic thing. But at the end of the day, I don't know, we were still less than a year old when we decided to, so again, I had to pay for all the packaging and branding and websites,
redoing it all,
just everything, the domains, like if you think about it, what you have to do to launch a brand, and less than a year later I was doing it all over again. Yeah, it was hell. And then people go, oh, CoziGo, CoziGo. I'm like, it's CoziGo, it's get cozy and go. Like, don't you get it? But anyway, there we are, CoziGo.
There we are. But in the end, the US was a good move though, because now it's you know, pretty much the biggest proportion of the business. So
yeah, 50% of my sales are coming from the US alone at the moment, and then 25% in Australia, and then rest of the world 25%, and all over the world. It's just yesterday was Israel, Singapore, Netherlands, Germany, Croatia, and I was like, whoa, cool. You know, it's so cool to know that you're in every corner of the world. Cool.
I remember the first time I ever sent an order overseas, I had to get a map out and like mark it, because
that's such a cute thing to do.
Proud.
It is really cool, isn't it? Like, one of my friends went overseas and she landed, she rang, she goes, there was a CoziGo on the flight, and I was like, well, I bloody hope so. She goes, oh no, you don't get it. I was so excited. Like, she does some of my packing when I'm away, and she was so excited. I was like, yeah, I'm so stoked that she got such a buzz out of it. And then recently, and even me, I mean, I still don't take it for granted. Like, when one walks past me, I'm nudging whoever's with me, that's CoziGo, it's CoziGo. And then we just recently flew Air Canada, and Phil goes, are you going to take a walk around? I said, I think I'm going to have to. And sure enough, there was this woman pulling out her CoziGo from the overhead locker. As soon as the seatbelt signs went off, she was like, pop. And I was like, I've got to have a photo with you.
Did she oblige?
She was so cool. She was like, oh my God, we are so grateful to this. She was actually, so we got on the plane in Sydney, but she had the product sent to Canada. She was Canadian and with her Australian husband, and flew to Sydney, had her holiday, and was flying back. So she's like, we've used this every day of our holiday, and we're going to go home and use it every day until they're at school. Like, she was laughing, you know. And I said, that's so cool. I said, I bet you just thought it was for the plane. And she goes, I had no idea we'd be using it as much as we are. And, you know, and then I said, do you mind having a photo? She's like, can you send that to me? I love it. Cool.
What a legend.
Yeah, it was cool. My husband's like, oh, there she is, I've lost her, she'll be at least an hour chatting away.
Oh, so good. Now, I have to ask you about the past couple of years, which I know is going to be a big question.
Have to? Aren't we just deleting it?
Yeah, I know. It's like a reset button, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think,
totally.
Honestly, though, I mean, obviously when COVID hit, it really was a dampener for your business at the start.
Immediate dampener. Yeah, it was a very sharp, sudden loss. And at the time I felt like someone had died. Like, it was really bad. So I thought, and this is, you know, probably my failings in business, that I thought that probably 30% of our sales came from the stroller market and 70% from airlines. Airline travel. And then they grounded the planes. They didn't ground strollers, but they grounded the planes. And I lost 98% of my business overnight. Just the sales just stopped.
Disappeared.
Right? And I was like, whoa, okay. All right. And
such a hard thing to stomach.
Oh, and you know, and you're getting the drift that it's not been a easy ride. It's been an uphill battle for this business to keep going, and it's come with so many extra challenges that I don't think we weren't expecting, B, we probably didn't deserve. But you know, like, I did so much of the right stuff, and it just didn't go right at times. But I think one of my greatest qualities and one of my biggest flaws is my tenacity. So most people would have packed up and gone home, and probably quite rightly so, but I'm like, no, I'm not giving up. And you know, COVID was like, great, I actually have got this chance to go, well, here was a situation completely out of my hands. COVID, oh, my earphone fell out. COVID, can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. COVID killed my business. It had nothing to do with me. I'm packing up and going home. And after a little while. So when it very first happened, I was like so stunned, and everyone kept using this bloody word pivot. How are you going to pivot? What are you going to do to pivot your business? And I was like, pivot, shiv it, like shove it up your pivot backside. I was like, I don't want to pivot. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I feel broken. And
did you just
again, my husband said, rest. Rest, hibernate everything, just rest, concentrate on the kids. We all need you now, because it was very much looking into ourselves, wasn't it? It was a time to come together as families. Like, we didn't have a choice.
Did not have a choice. No.
House, like,
13 weeks or something.
Totally. Well, I mean, it was more for Sydney. We had a couple of really long ones, and my background was high school. I was a teacher. So I actually thought at the time, well, my business has failed. I feel like a failure. I'll be damned if my kids are going to fail through this homeschooling. I'm going to make sure they go back better educated than they came to me. And I did. I just dropped the subscriptions. I just, sales were still coming through, and I would still fulfill them. And I told my marketer to just, you've got to have a rest as well. The business is resting. Just do an hour a week to just rattle on a bit in social media to keep people front of mind and keep it active. And we did the absolute bare minimum. And I kind of enjoyed it. We were lucky enough to not have to rely on the business's income for our food.
Yes.
So we were okay. And we weren't going on holiday. We weren't doing as much. And the income not coming in wasn't putting us on the breadline. So we were grateful for that. My husband and I own two separate businesses from two different industries. So we were good about that. And as much as my little boy was a challenge to be homeschooled, damn it, I homeschooled him, and I homeschooled him effectively and consistently. Yes. And while a lot of my friends are like, what? On the iPad all day while I work. And I'm like, well, I don't have a business anymore. So, we did that as a bike rides and collect tadpoles. And to a great extent, there was a lot of positives that came out for our family. I think all of us are a little bit bittersweet about that period. And whilst we're glad to be out of it a bit more. We miss aspects of it. I'm sick of sport. I'm so sick of the kids like training and sports routines and dashing and running. I would love for a day to go bushwalking and hold a little sneaky cocktail in my Kit cup, and I liked those days. So anyway, and we were lucky. The government, I believe the government supported small business quite well, and we got some grant. Well, it just depends what kind of business. For me, my overheads weren't massive. I didn't have a shop front or massive overheads to carry. So I was able to use those $10,000 grants to push back into the business. And I think that's when I rang you and went, I want to relaunch my website, and I want to put more of a aspect into I wanted to push. When we relaunched, I wanted to have more of a leaning towards the stroller covers as well, to make sure people understand that it's a high value product outside of travel as well, even if that's the reason for purchase. You are still going to, there are other stroller covers on the market. I think we're the best one on the market, but there are definitely other ones, and definitely cheaper ones. So I don't necessarily think we're competing in that market, but I definitely wanted the new website to have higher conversion rates when we got cracking, when the world came back again, because we all knew it was going to come back eventually. It did take a lot longer than I thought, but I got kicked out of my fulfillment center after 6 years. I was really dirty about that, because so that was, I don't remember that was tough, because they just said you've got to go because you're not reaching your targets. And I was like, but the thing is, they actually kicked me out right at the end of COVID. I'm like, you've ridden the storm with me now. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, we've thought about it carefully. You're going, all right.
Wow. I don't think I knew it. I don't remember that.
back to the garage I go.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I've never been in the garage until that first day that trap stock came, and we saw what 1,000 units looked like, and went, let's start as we mean to go on. And I started in fulfillment from day one, and all of a sudden they did it to me just as stock was arriving. I was like, shit. So I had to get it redirected to my home. And it was more than 1,000 units. Luckily the home's a bit bigger, so our garage is bigger. But there I am, licking and sticking and working out postage rates, and it's a minefield, and I'm like, oh, how am I doing this far into my business? But that again, that was a really nice positive thing, because it's the first time in a long time that I was touching and feeling the product again, and not just seeing orders, but seeing order names, order addresses, locations. It was pretty cool, and it made me feel a lot more connected to the product again. Because my kids aren't young anymore. Definitely to the customers, definitely. But I always have been quite connected. My customer service is impeccable, and no email goes unanswered, and no problem is not sorted out, and as a result, I've got to. Sometimes you lose faith in humanity, because I don't know, people come across as a little bit, dopey, shall I say? Difficult, dopey, oh my God, what were they thinking? But I'm dealing with sleep deprived, broken mums a lot of the time. They're absolutely terrified about traveling overseas for the first time with a child. They haven't had a full night's sleep in 6 months or 9 months. They're breastfeeding or not breastfeeding. They're they're just broken, and they're like, I didn't put my unit number on, or I put my old address down, or I ordered 3 by mistake. I only wanted 1.
Doing those things.
Why did you add 3 to cart and pay for them and get through to the, and then go, oh, I didn't want 3. But I understand, because I actually drove through a car park turnstile once, just total, it was shut. I didn't put my ticket in. I just drove straight through at the mall. Because I was sleep deprived and slept that night. My husband's like, what were you thinking? I'm like, no,
it's a happy day
for months.
When your kids get old enough that they don't do that to you anymore.
Totally.
My God.
So I am with customer service, and the crazy, some of the nasty emails, or the broken emails, or the silly mistakes I get.
You have a lot of patience.
Always remember where they might be at that day.
Yes.
Interesting. But I'm currently fulfilling from home, and it's I don't want to. I want to find a new fulfillment center, but with the way freight is at the moment, I'm actually struggling with someone that can really offer the service that does worldwide fast, because we offer a 3 to 4 day courier, and everyone's really afraid of offering express services, because express just isn't express anymore. It's just express is just the fastest way to get something there, but it's not real fast.
Might need to puzzle on that one for a little bit longer.
I'll keep going. We've got enough room, so we're fully stocked. It arrived on my birthday before 50 people were due to arrive for my birthday, and I was like, oh, thank you, I love your timing. Bring it in.
Pass me a margarita while I unpack. I just want to quickly ask you, obviously COVID really put a stop to everything. For you, whereas I think now that a lot of e-commerce businesses now they're finding it hard, because now their supply chains are constrained, and now the freight is a problem, and all of this kind of stuff. They didn't go through it initially when you did. How hard was it for you to make the decision to go, you know what, I'm going to go for it again, I'm going to redo my website? Because that would have been hard for you to make that decision. It was really hard, and I really labored over it. But see, what happened is I hibernated it, and it slowly started coming back by itself with zero marketing and zero effort. And I rang you, and you laughed your head off, because I said, Kath, I just can't kill this business. It won't die. And you were like, oh, not many people come to me saying that. And I'm like, no, I kind of really want it to die, and it just won't let me go now. And it was the decision was all of a sudden kind of just made for me, because it started ramping up again. And I was like, oh, damn, here we go again. I had a couple of jobs during COVID, and just contract jobs. Yeah.
really hard to work for other people once you've been your own boss and you have your own ideas and your own working life and your own flexibility. And I don't mind saying I do a lot for the kids and the family. My husband works massive hours. I cook, I clean, I wash, I do the school drop off. As mumsy it sounds, a lot of people roll their eyes and go, "Why is it your job?" But it's how our life works. And whatever I do, it needs to fit around that for now until the kids are a little bit older than they are. Yeah. And I was like, well, it's not letting me go, and it's coming back, and I'm enjoying it in a different way at the moment. Still, and this is even when I saw Janine the other day, she's like, "What other products have you brought out?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it again." She's like, "You can't just be a one-trick pony." I'm like, I will, and I am. And it's a shame because the product development and the marketing and the packaging is the stuff I really enjoy. I love that. It's right up my alley. But eventually maybe I'll do that for other people and consult later down the track. But I have a good product, and it's niche and it's selling, and I know this sounds so cliche, and I know a lot of people only say it because, you know, it's what they think they should say and it helps with marketing, but I really believe it helps people fix a problem. And when I get every review I get, it goes straight to my heart, and it makes a difference, and I'm enjoying that. I do. I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thank you.
So now that, you know, travel is relatively opening up, all of that kind of stuff, and I guess we're never going to go back to a pre-COVID world, I'm sure. But
well, not with this recession looming. We're surely not. All our mortgages are going to double in a minute, and we won't be able to go on holiday again.
Oh well, you know what to do if that ever happens. But
go back
clearly
to bed.
this business is not going to die of its own, right? You know, now that, but I guess where we are right now with things progressing and growing again, where do you feel like is the next step for CoziGo? Like, what's the future hold for you?
I want to get more physical stock in more countries. So at the moment, you know, for example, to get to pay for a CoziGo to get to the UK, my English countrymen have to pay $40 to express courier, but it's actually costing me $57. I'm subsidizing it. So just before COVID, a courier was costing $34, and I was subsidizing it down to 20, right? Yeah. So $20 I think is achievable, but it's now $40 for the customer, but $56 for me. And the way the freight is working, it just goes up $1 or $2 every day or two. Just from emergency fuel surcharges, and it's not the actual rates that are going up. They just whack all these different, and I'm like, oh my God, like they used to have annual price hikes. And these are going up in front of my eyes on a daily basis.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's not really achievable to keep going when
you're shipping,
and the postage is outweighing the product. And I can't really scale like that, because, you know, you have to really want a product to pay that much.
You do.
Shipping. And they really want it. It's the only way they can get it there. But so my next aim is to get physical product to the UK. I've done it in the US, and it's working really well. I'm able to do overnight shipping, 2-day shipping, standard shipping cheaply for them. Like they're just, you know, they're not paying very much. It's not free, and it's not Amazon.
No. Stay away from that as long as you can.
No, well, that's another story. We don't stock on Amazon for very good reasons. That's another podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that one day. We'll do a roundtable with a few.
Yeah. Oh, they lost all my stock. And wouldn't give me my money back. So
they've done that to another one of our clients too. It's just Anyway,
did they get it fixed or?
No, they had to.
Oh, well, write to Jeff Bezos. I wrote directly to him and actually got an answer from him, and it was fixed within 24 hours after a 6-month battle. But as I say, that's another podcast.
Okay.
We can talk about that offline for your other business.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so to round us off today, I want to ask you 3 kind of rapid fire questions. I know we don't have rapid fire.
Am I capable of them?
So, but 3 questions for you if you're up for it.
Yeah.
And so the first one really, I guess, is what you know from all of this experience that you have had. What advice would you give yourself back when you were in that startup mode?
Go with the one-stop shop that I was talking about. No, just go into it with your eyes like wide open, probably double your budget, triple your time, and half your expectations. Right?
You seriously, you know, to be in entrepreneurship for the long haul, you just
have to be a millionaire.
Well, you'd have to be tenacious, like exactly what you were saying, right? Yeah. Otherwise you would just go, why?
Yeah, you do. My friend's actually just finishing up her business today, and she just said, Emma, I just can't wait to get a job. Like, I've never worked so hard in all my life for so little, and she just can't wait to run for the hills. And you know, and it happens all around me, and I'm like, God damn, I'm so jealous.
Oh dear.
Not really.
Then you remember when you have worked for other people more recently. And
no, not really.
Maybe not.
A lot of my coping mechanism is humor, and I muck around a lot. But yeah, it's good. I'm where I want to be. I wouldn't be anywhere if I didn't want to be here. Like, It's
funny because I went after selling out of my first business. I went and worked for my old boss again, and I lasted 5 months.
Yeah, you're like, I'm out. Can't do it anymore.
Do you know, the thing that killed me the most was the expectation that you'd be at your desk for at least 8 hours a day, but they just did not give me enough work to do. You know, when you're, especially I guess when you're a mum and
when you're clever,
also running your own stuff, you're really efficient.
Yeah,
I'd get through it all in 2 hours.
But you know, that's why a lot of people with I'm saying, and that's why a lot of people have coped really well during these lockdowns, because they've been able to work from home and exceed their boss's expectations, and still go for a surf, and still cook for dinner, and still hang the washing, and all these things done. And then they're being asked to go back to the office. Just oh my God, you're just going to make me sit there and I'm going to pretend that I'm not on Google.
That's right.
Trying to plan my wedding.
That's right. Exactly. All right, next question. I want to ask you, what has been one of the best decisions that you've made in your business to date? Which is a tough one, because you've been through so many.
Like actually finally getting stock into the States. It's something that took me a long time to get right, and I kept looking and trying, and nothing quite felt right. I tried to do it via Amazon, and that was a disaster. And then I was about to do it via a fulfillment company that is all over the world and offers, you handle it just from one dashboard and everything.
Yeah.
In Australia and England,
no matter which location you're in.
Gotcha. And it didn't quite feel right, and I eventually found a family-run company that also come from a wholesale background. So I met them at the ABC Vegas show years ago through, Danielle Stearman, beautiful D. We had a stall together there, and she introduced me. And at the time, they were looking to represent my product on Amazon. And again, that didn't feel quite right at the time. And she said to me, during COVID, she said, you should get back in touch. They do fulfillment now, and they're unreal. They're unreal. So that was like one of the best decisions I've made. And it's giving me lots of control, and they're so there. And fulfillment centers are like used car salesmen normally. Like, they're horrendous to deal with, and the service levels are quite poor. And these guys are just like an extra arm of your business, your own business. And I said he's actually moving warehouses today, and I had to the more deliveries you have, of course, the more things go wrong with deliveries, and things are late and stuff. And so this week, a few things have gone missing or delayed, and I've got all these customers going, where is it? And so I have to feed through him, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know that you've just got so much on your plate this week. I'm sorry you have to follow up this other order. And he wrote back, please don't ever be sorry for asking me to do my job. And I was like, what a breath of fresh air.
That is it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. yeah, just, I guess even being able to have that help on the customer support side in that time zone as well. I'm sure
he doesn't deal with the customers.
He doesn't?
No, he'll just get onto FedEx if I need him to and answer the questions. But
enough.
I'm so
maybe one day
I do everything. So asking anyone to do anything for me, it's like always like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to bother you. Yeah.
It's the female's curse. Last question for you.
Yeah.
And so this one's a bit of a philosophical one, I guess, but what do you love about being a business owner and being your own boss?
Hands down, flexibility. Hands down. The ability to, it's so cheesy, but it was Amy's athletics carnival the other day, and I said, I'm not going to come, and she's like, Mum, why aren't you going to come? And I'm like, because it's so boring. You're not a runner. It's not like you're an athlete. And I didn't say that. I was just like, oh, and she goes, Mum, it's like the best day of the year. It's really important to me. And I went, oh gosh, okay, I'll go. And I got a speeding ticket for it and 2 points on my license because I was going 48 in a 40 zone. So I was like, really don't want to go to the carnival. No. But the flexibility and this week I lost a friend, and I haven't been able to do as much work as I've wanted to this week. And I went with my best friend yesterday and just had some self-love, and her birthday present to me was a flotation tank and a massage and a sauna, and I never do stuff like that.
That sounds amazing.
I did that when a lot of my friends are at work, and still managed to kick goals and just work in the evening. I still did the work I had to do yesterday, but I love the flexibility of I do.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
Destiny.
Yeah. This year for us, I've thought about that the most because, and I don't have little kids now either, but
your industry has changed so much. Like I know you've been going through huge challenges with the lovely iOS updates and Facebook and stuff like that, and you constantly have to look at why you're doing it and what you're doing it for, to remind yourself just keep bloody well getting on,
keep on getting on. But much like you, but for different reasons, I guess. For me to be able to support my boys with their swimming dreams, I have to spend a lot more time being mum than I would ever have time for if I was working a full-time corporate job.
And no way does the most understanding boss ever want to hear you go, sorry, but I've just got to get to the swim carnival. You might be able to get away with it once. It's like
not every afternoon.
Not really our priority. Yeah, totally. And nobody is on their deathbed. Nobody says on their deathbed, damn, I
didn't work
harder, or damn, very few people say, damn, I wish I'd have earned more money. That most people's regrets are surrounded by all surround not connecting enough with their people, or not having enough of their people around them, or not doing enough of their families. And I think we're in an environment now where there is so much opportunity, and if you're dynamic and tenacious and you've got a bit of schnauze about you and get up and go, then there's just so much opportunity out there to live the life you want to live and run your own race. But having a job is nice and reliable and pays well too. There's definitely room for everyone.
Yeah, but a beautiful message to finish us off today. And I really thank you so much for sharing all of that.
It's always a giggle. It's always nice to touch base.
Now, for any listeners or viewers who would like to kind of connect with you on social media or see what you're all about with CoziGo, do you want to give yourself a shout out? Where will they go and find you?
We are at CoziGo.com. The email goes straight to me, Emma at CoziGo.com, and Instagram, what is it, _CoziGo. Facebook is just CoziGo, CoziGo. That's me.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Kath. It's been fun.
No worries. Yeah, it's been great fun. So we'll finish off our conversation here. And for listeners, you can join me again next week. But for now, thank you so much for being with us. So that's it for today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed hearing Emma's story. For me, every time I chat to Emma, she just lifts my spirits in a way that just makes it feel a little bit easier to keep pushing on with the business, even when things are hard. And of course, her sense of humour leaves my cheeks aching a bit too, which is always a lot of fun. We will, of course, share all of the links to CoziGo on our podcast show notes page. So go and check it out and connect with her if you can. And as always, if you are keen for some help with this stuff, please just give us a shout, whether or not you're looking for coaching to help you learn and implement these things, or if you're looking for a team of experts to outsource to, just head over to productpreneurmarketing.com and you can book in a free strategy session with us to go over what your goals are and what you really need to help you achieve them.